First thing, of course, is turning the unit on, and that's this button on the side. Now, the unit can operate on batteries or on the power adapter. Let it go through the power up procedure. This takes a couple of minutes. As it's booting up, there is a message that shows up that gives you a notification of possible RF. Read the notification, and then you just have to press OK in order to continue to. Okay, you're on the first menu here. This is the main menu. From here, you can get to the configuration menu by pressing the wrench icon. Under the wrench icon, you have multiple selections. You have settings menu. Under operation, it gives you a couple of settings and modes that this is running under. One of them, it says SNF, which stands for store and forward only. We typically don't use store and forward only. We typically use live. Store and forward allows you to store video coming from the video input into this unit. But we want to make sure that it's on live mode, that connections are on all, the Ethernet type is normal, and the auto start is off. Once you have those menu settings, you can go back, and it takes you back to the configuration menu. Now here, this is an important part of the configuration menu, is input. The input is determined what the type of camera that you're using. In this mode, right now, we have it at 480, which is it's an analog input. So if you're using an analog camera, that is the input that you want. And this is the audio input, which is XLR. The XLR input is, there's an 5-pin XLR on the side of the unit that allows you to hook up a mixer or a camera. Now, if you are using a camera that is high definition, the setting for the input resolution will change. If your camera is a 720, you select that input resolution, and you also select the video input into SDI, and then it allows you to select the resolution that you want. That's 1080i, 480i, or 720p. In most cases here at ABC 720p, but it depends on what format you have the camera. If you don't have this setting matching the setting of your camera, you will not see any video into the unit. Another important part of this menu is the audio input. Typically, it's on embedded when it's coming from a high definition source. But if you're using an analog input, typically it's on an XLR, since in most cases analog does not carry embedded audio. In this setting, back to the main menu, there are 3 menus or sub-menus on the left-hand side of the unit if you're looking at it from the front. One of these units allows you to search media in either a jump drive that you can connect to the USB port, or the local drive. This allows you to send any kind of file through the system, which will be received at the server. Another menu or sub-menu within the main menu is this one with the icon of a couple of media files. When you select that, it allows you to go into the store and forward clip selection menu, which are all the clips that are stored within the unit. This way you can select the clip that you recorded and the unit has it in its internal drive, and you can forward it, which means it's going to send it to the server. In this example right here, we have a video of a reporter out on the field, and it tells us that it's 14 seconds long. I'm sorry, 1 minute 14 seconds long, and it tells us the format. It's 2997 fields per second. It also tells us the file size and the resolution. So once you have that selected, you can send that. Now, in most cases, this is something only that was recorded in the unit. And remember, if you want to send something that is coming from a USB, you have to be in this other menu, which is File Transfer menu. One recent feature added to the Dejero units, it's called the Up To. This is selected by going into the settings or the wrench icon, and then going into the live settings. Under the live settings, you see the latency. In this case, it's on short. We also have the latency mode, which is fixed. Now, with this new software upgrade, you have adaptive and this one, which is called Up To. What this means is that the unit will adjust the latency mode up to your latency time. In this case, is 1.5 seconds. Once the unit determines the bandwidth, the Up To will adjust automatically to compensate for the bandwidth assigned. In this case, is 1.5 seconds. If you have signal issues or the bandwidth is not sufficient at a location, you have the option to change this live resolution from HD to SD. SD requires less bandwidth, although the unit is taking an HD input. The live resolution is SD, which will compensate and adjust the management of the bandwidth based on this resolution, which is a preset. The SD resolution might come in handy when you don't have a good, robust pipe or bandwidth available. Now we're going to go into transmitting and monitoring the signals. Right here on this top part, you have an indicator per every card that is available. The bonding technology uses multiple providers. In this case, it's AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, to provide a pipe access. The unit combines all those and establishes a stream to the server. Now, there's also instances where you can have Wi-Fi available at a location. You can attach to a Wi-Fi location by just doing a Wi-Fi search, and that is done from the main menu into the wrench or the settings, operations, and right here Wi-Fi. In this case, you're going to see the ones that are available. So let's select NPG co-guest. Now, to make this easier, it's good practice to have a mouse available with the kit. So the mouse plugs into the USB port that is labeled service on the top of the unit. Once you have the mouse cursor appears on top of the display. So you can select and have better control. So in this case, we're going to select NPG co-guest, and we select connect. Now it's asking for a password. In most cases, there's no password when it's available or free Wi-Fi. So you just select apply. And it's telling you here that it's connected. So we go back to the main configuration. And now you have another indicator there that says Wi-Fi. Now, the indicators will not give you any displays until you're actually transmitting or sending. There is a way you can select a password into the Wi-Fi. If you are at a location where you know the password for the Wi-Fi, you will need to grab the cursor where it says Mode Live and move the main window out, and you see a familiar Windows display. Right here, you can go to the Wi-Fi settings, open the Wi-Fi settings, and select the Wi-Fi that you want. In this case, we have NPG co-guest, NPG co-employee, so in KVIA Net 4. So let's select KVIA Net 4. Click connect. It's connecting to the network, and it's going to ask you for the key. Now the security key, this is where you can enter the security key with your keyboard. Now back in the main menu, whenever you're shutting down the unit, this is very important. Never unplug the power supply until the unit is completely powered down. So in order to power it down, just push the off button and wait. It usually takes approximately between 25 to 30 seconds for the unit to come completely down. And it will tell you it will show you the Windows shutdown process going on. Once the unit is completely out, you can unplug it. Another thing, make certain that the fans are not being blocked. Since there's air from inside the unit being pushed out, make sure that wherever you locate or place the unit, nothing is blocking the fans. Okay, over here we have, these are some important inputs. This one, it's an IFB feature, which we'll probably talk about on our next video. This is the SDI input, so when you have an HD source, this is the input that you want to use. This is the analog input. Whenever you have an analog source, this is the input that you use. This is the 5-pin XLR, which whenever you have analog audio, this is where your audio goes in. And this is, there is a white cable that plugs in to this 5-pin, and it gives you two channels of input, channel 1 and channel 2. Both channels are active.